That was like the original master nodes, right?
And it had gone like 10x in those 6 months.
Why do you guys need EigenLayer?
That's where EigenLayer comes into the picture.
Welcome to EigenLayer Unlocked, an interactive educational journey through the EigenLayer ecosystem created by technical founders and builders for the entire crypto community. A special thank you to our partners, AltLayer, Polymer, Authentic, Skate, and Lagrange for helping to make this happen. Our goal is to raise the collective knowledge of the EigenLayer AVS ecosystem and unpack the technical designs of the top teams in space. Welcome to EigenLayer Unlocked. Welcome to the roll-up. We're in Singapore live. How you doing, Sid?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Super happy to finally do this.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's been great. So you have been here for what, a couple years now?
Yeah, it's been like over 5 years now. Like it's sort of like home only now.
Yeah. How's the crypto scene here? Is there like events, people coming?
It's pretty good. I think in general, Singapore is pretty big on like Web 2.5 kind of things. So like I used to work before at a digital asset trading desk.
Okay.
And on that part, like on-ramps, OTC desks, market makers and all, there are a pretty good presence, especially for the Asia side.
Yeah. I've heard that the regulation here is relatively good for crypto. I'm not exactly sure.
I think it's pretty clear. Like from my personal side, where I used to work, they were the first desk who got like digital asset trading license. So we have worked with MAS. So it's like pretty clear. Yeah. It's been a good journey of sort of actively interacting. I think that's where I think in the US side, it has been a lot more, I would say there isn't much visibility on how things might play out.
Yeah, you have no idea. It's Trump versus Kamala and who knows what's going to happen.
Exactly. But I think Singapore side, those things are pretty clear. So operating a firm here is super helpful on that part.
Nice. So you kind of got into the space then through a mix of other financial background. This is your first time on the roll-up, so it'd be great to kind of hear your background and how you came to start Skate.
Yeah, so I come from like a computer science background. I did my undergrad in computer science, and initially I used to just work in core, like I say, software development job. But during my undergrad also, that was back in end of 2017, I used to do like a small thesis project on top of Ethereum. That's when the whole framework for Solidity, all the documentation forming.
No way, what was that?
It was like a very basic voting kind of stuff. But like we were sort of customizing a few things on the go on the whole project.
Nice.
But right from that time, there were a few things that got me excited. I sort of computer science developer, you feel like you need to play around with Tor browser once or often. So at that time, I heard of this currency called Dash, which sort of got me, okay, what does it do? And I was sort of like, why not like take some exposure, try to buy it.
That was like the original master nodes, right?
Yeah,
Dash master nodes?
Yeah, exactly.
That started an entire craze of like master nodes coming online. And dude, that was a funny time.
Yeah, it got like, from the technical side, it got me super excited. And I just wanted to like, why not bet a few dollars and all that?
Of course.
So I tried to do that, but it was damn difficult to do that from India. So I just forgot it. And like 6 months later, suddenly something about Bitcoin, some conversation came up, and I just checked what the price might be of that. And it had gone like 10x in those 6 months.
Dash did.
Then I was like, fuck it, I need to get some exposure at that time. And that's how basically I got super engaged. And then later on, after 2 years, I just wanted to enter investment banking or the trading side in general. So I did like a master's in financial engineering.
Okay.
And post that, I was working at a trading desk. And then again, I joined that trading desk. 1 day later, the whole Yearn Finance thing happened and the whole DeFi summer had started. Like crazy. So I had some like experience in terms of Ethereum with like Solidity development and like minor audits here and there. So I just went to front office, was actively engaging on how we can do some kind of prop trading strategies or yield farming, something on that side. And then it has been a crazy journey after that.
Nice. Did you ever end up farming Yearn?
Definitely. Not Yearn. We did some stuff on the secondary market side, but it had already distributed that 30,000 already.
Yeah, Yearn was only 1 week.
1 week.
I remember seeing that. I was on my laptop and had ETH on my ledger.
Yeah.
I hadn't done much on chain prior to that. Like I had a little bit on some wallet, and then I put some DAI into Yearn, and that was just like the beginning of like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know, because that was after Compound and like some of the early stuff, but Yearn was the big crazy like spark for, oh wow, this is wild, because the token obviously flew after that.
Yeah. Yearn was like that 100x story that makes you FOMO. That was Yearn.
Dude, I thought it was gonna go to 100K.
Yeah.
Never did, but it was close.
Interesting. But then, after that, because we were actively doing that stuff, and those were the periods where you feel that if you put in more time, you would make more money. It was that kind of period. So I got deep in the trenches, and post that was very actively interacting on the DeFi, and that's what sort of I've learned the most from online interaction.
Yeah. So what was kind of the problem or the design space that you saw open up where you were like, okay, there's a need for this idea behind Skate? Like, what kind of triggered that realization for you to want to build this?
Yeah, so there's like some context on that front also. So we used to, prior to this, called Range Protocol, and we sort of started off building that in the idea that what I used to do before for a lot of institutional clients, like where we used to sometimes, when we were market making for certain projects, there used to be some requirement of like bundle deals, like projects wanted liquidity on the DeFi front, and they wanted some support on that side also. So we used to do these things where we used to manage liquidity on, say, a Uniswap V3 kind of pool.
Yep.
But then we know that the more liquid venues might be like Binance, OKX. So you need to tap into those centralized exchanges. So we used to do those like combined strategies. But then in like 2022, I was working on building like the RFQ quoting backend for our desk. With that, as it got matured, it opened up like a very good avenue for us to build like a retail facing product, which had this non-custodial vaults. But there I could basically do similar strategies of, say, liquidity management, where I can tap into the best of the AMMs, where I do things on top of Uniswap V3 non-custodial way. But then when I want to sort of do the CeFi part of it, like rebalancing and all that, I can tap into all these like RFQ quoting sister trading entities and all. So they can basically do the heavy lifting of, say, hedge on OKX, Binance, Coinbase at the same time, and give me an on-chain code for that. But we wanted to do a lot more active management when we were doing that. So that's how it got started. Then Q4 last year was super good for us. We were doing a lot of trading volumes. We crossed over, I think, 4 billion very, very quickly. And then we sort of realized that what we were doing in the end was more like DevOps, because so many new chains were emerging. Each chain had their own AMM, which was like completely siloed fork. And we understood that, this is a very inefficient model, because if you need to trade, say, ETH USDC liquidity on every chain, you're having a siloed liquidity curve on every chain. And there's a big information asymmetry that happens because of that. So at that point, we got this idea that, okay, what if we could build a concentrated AMM, which has a single liquidity curve. So right now, if I say have 10 million liquidity for a pair on ETH for ETH USDC on Arbitrum, and say now Better Chain launch, I can just bootstrap, say, 100K liquidity. But if that liquidity state is shared between Arbitrum and Better Chain, if I do a swap on Better Chain, I won't get a price as if I'm trading on a 100K pool, but rather as if I'm trading on a 10.1 million pool. So it will get many folds significantly better. So that was the idea. And like for the final design of Skate, we got a lot of inspiration of something like this already happens in traditional computing in the terms of client-server architecture. So like if you think about Instagram, it runs on Android, it runs on iPhone, it runs on Mac, different devices.
Yep.
But right now, every blockchain has siloed apps. When you think about apps, you think about it would be just running on one chain. If it works there, then it will be forked on every chain of the same VM stack.
Yep.
So we thought, like, what if we could do something like this? Like if you're moving towards a future where going to be like hundreds of chains, there's certain Legos that you need on every chain, but they don't have to be like isolated Legos.
Right.
So that's something we thought about changing. And we're trying to sort of, with Skate, taking a more generalized approach of how we can basically build this infra, where if as an app developer, I want to launch something, why shouldn't I launch it on all the chains, like all the EVM chains, Solana, Ton at the same time, like how Instagram or Twitter would be launching in a sense, and that too with a single application state. So that's what like Skate is building.
Yeah, and that's how the idea of the stateless apps came to be, right? Where it's kind of like it's almost like this omni-chain structure where you can have this app on every chain, but users can access the kind of aggregate liquidity of a DEX, or kind of you can extend this out to other
any
use
kind
cases.
of use cases.
Right, but like, so it's the core functionality is like that idea of like it's not an aggregator, but it's like accessing the aggregate sum of liquidity or of parts of an application, regardless of which chain you're on, because as long as it's deployed through Skate, it can be there. on that chain. So then if that's the case, then why do you guys need EigenLayer? What does being an AVS kind of bring you, or what does using EigenLayer bring you?
Yeah. So to enable something like this, what we needed to do is basically decouple application logic, the core application part of it, from the user interaction logic. Similar to, say, if you open a website in your laptop browser, then only a small piece of code runs inside the browser, which is basically how to take users' intents, how to make the backend request, and then how to show the query results. Just all the heavy lifting is done by one hub backend server. So we have decoupled these two parts of the whole app, like a kernel, which is the core application, and the periphery, which is the user interaction. But now it creates a new trust assumption of how the interactions happen in between these two parts. So that's where EigenLayer comes into the picture. So we have a thing called task, which is basically this information that you need to execute a particular callback. Okay. It has this information that on this chain, call this particular function, particular contracts, particular function with this particular call data. And in the case of our AVS, they just are full nodes of skate chain. So whenever they see a task, they verify that, this callback information is correct, and then they execute and do the callback.
And that's the callback from different chains, basically?
Yeah. So what we have...
Like you have to settle multiple states, but it's stateless, but you have to make sure that the states are all in alignment?
Yeah. So right now what we have basically done is that we have made all these blockchain more like front-end or distribution channels, because that's what's going to happen in the multi-rollup system if there are so many generalized purpose chain. So now in terms of the user flow, user could be on Arbitrum, they could be on Ton, they could be on Solana. They can just give an intent that they want to do this particular thing. That intent gets picked up, executed on the core application logic, and all the core application logic will be on our hub chain, skate chain. It creates a task for any callback. And then once the AVS operators give it enough economic attestations, then the callback happens. So this is like a new asynchronous design pattern to write Web3 apps. But now the best part of this is that all these AVS, because it's like a hub and spoke kind of model, so these AVS operators, they just need to have knowledge of what's happening on skate.
Yeah.
And then I can write the user interaction logic in Rust, enable the same app to run on Solana. I can write it in Tact, enable the same app to run on Ton.
Yep.
So now all these app teams, they can basically get the network effects of all the ecosystems with like minimal code changes. So that's like the key theme.
Gotcha.
Vertex Edge is now live on Say Network. Say users can now trade 50 plus spot and perp markets with the unified order book liquidity of Vertex Edge across Arbitrum, Blast, Mantle, and Say. The next 6 weeks, 850,000 Say tokens will be up for grabs as trading rewards every single week, exclusively on Say. Join Vertex on Say Network now on Vertex Edge. That's vertexprotocol.com. Welcome aboard on our journey into the singularity. This is the endgame roadmap for Frax and Fractal, the new L2 out of the Frax ecosystem that is totally based on fractal scaling. Fractal is a modular L2 blockchain built by Frax with modular and fractal scaling in mind. Fractal scaling is based on the Mandelbrot set of fractal images, and it explains how L2s become L3s and the entire app chain lifecycle goes through its evolution. The Frax ecosystem is made of some of the top builders in the space and has stemmed from its OG days of the Frax stablecoin. It is now in the LST space, the LRT space, and this Fractal L2 joins the existing suite of Frax products, including Frax Swap and Frax Lend. You can see Frax Ferry, the bridge to go from any chain, Arbitrum, Optimism, or mainnet into the Fractal mainnet. Bridge your tokens and bring your Frax assets into the Fractal ecosystem. Join today to get the best out of Fractal. You are still early. Join today. Take part in our expedition into the singularity.
And so where are you at in development with this AVS?
Yeah, so our AVS is ready. We have had a code freeze recently. We are in active conversations for the audit. Our hub chain is ready. So that one also, we are trying to scale throughput on every opportunity. And the third component of our tech stack is like this intent execution network, which is just a way that now like chains like Solana or Ton, they have ED 25519 signature standard. So you need to verify, like when they give an intent, you need to verify in a different way. EVM chains are ECDSA and all that. So that's the third component which picks intents from different chains, executes on the hub chain, and then everything happens. So we have had the first phase of like code freeze for that one also. So everything is ready. End of this month, we have already announced this, but we are going to enable poly market on top of Tom. So basically, even on Solana later. So users could be on Ton or Solana. They could have assets in their Telegram wallet. They could have assets in Phantom, Backpack, and all that. And they can interact with poly market in a non-custodial way. And the most graceful part of this, where like EigenLayer plays a big part, is that now if I've say placed a bet, then I would have like say some recipient token, some bet ID token for that. So all the custody of all that is with the AVS. So basically all these proxies would be owned by the AVS. So now any asset movement or any interaction will only happen if an intent comes, it gets executed on the hub chain, it goes through AVS, gets enough economic attestation, and then it happens. So that makes it super secure.
Yep. Okay, so the cryptoeconomic part of the design is ready. The chain is ready, just a matter of pending audits, which at this point, this will be in October, I believe. So, things will be moving forward. Then what's actually first, prior to kind of getting into what's next, what's the relationship been like working with EigenLayer? Has it been positive? How's the feedback been? How's the engagement been?
It's super, super awesome. I think they have been super interactive. And from our front, we are trying to do something super ambitious. Like no one has sort of tried to do this. First of all, even VM level composability at this point, the team's working on this, but there's nothing live as of yet.
Right.
We took a bit more specific approach that we don't need any kind of communication. We need this hub and spoke kind of thing.
Gotcha.
But we still sort of had to verify a lot how the things work. And going forward, there would be different vectors of risk that might come, like in terms of when slashing comes, then how things will happen. On that front also, we have been actively interacting with the team. So in general, like across all realms, it has been super positive, be it on marketing, be it on support on the team side, everything. Yeah.
And how big is the team now?
We are around 12 people now, but we would be actively expanding going forward, across a few things. Yeah.
Mostly developers or?
Mostly on the developer front. I think one thing that we're trying to do is that in terms of driving up the ecosystem, we are trying to take a bit more hands-on approach.
Okay.
So we are trying to develop like both Rust and Tact proficiency inside the team. So now if there's an EVM app who basically wants to like Ton has a massive advantage of the funnel of users that Telegram brings in. Solana has a massive community. So if any apps want to tap into that, we want to work very hands-on with them, help them in restructuring the code in this way, and then going live, going to the market as soon as possible with a pilot. So for that, for the ecosystem front, we are working hands-on with a few teams, and mostly I think we would be expanding in terms of DevRel and those kind of resources going forward.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I kind of coming to a close here. Other than what you just mentioned, what's next going into the end of the year, and what are you most looking forward to now that when this is going to be posted, it's going to be October, will be, Eigen token will have been launched, and the entire system is going to be kind of turned on.
Yeah, from our perspective, I think around the same time, we expect our poly market pilot on Ton to go live. So users will have like a call to action to interact with it and feel how seamless the UX could be with this whole model. And like this is something that people, like when I try to tell to people, like when they think of cross-chain, it's mostly in terms of movement of assets or bridging, but it's at asset level in general, how things happen. But what we're trying to do is like at the information level, at the state level, how you can have composability and all that. So I want to see how people take that, and like that's something we would be trying to put a lot of more educational content, work with a lot of teams on that part, and that's something that would be the focus going forward, end of Q4 or Q1 from our side. Other than that, the AMM example that you mentioned, our proficiency is like used to be more on the DeFi front. And that's something we feel like the biggest problem that people feel in terms of these roll-up centric future is that you have fragmentation of liquidity. You
of course.
That. I've been to all these like conferences and all, and like people sort of use intents or PMMs as like a magic pill that solves everything. But being on the back end of it where you're quoting, that as a private market maker, I would never hold like massive inventory for the fatter tail of assets or on the fatter tail of chains because I can't hedge them or I don't have the ROI for sort of
which is
that.
Why solving for long tail L2s right now is a very profitable thing, but for smaller size.
Smaller size, yeah. But that's not scalable in general, because on the alt side, sometimes volume moves so fast.
Right.
So for those kind of things, I think AMM still hold a great value.
Yep.
And what we are trying to do, the problem with the AMMs is that information asymmetry, that if say a swap happened on one chain, that price is not replicated on the other. So you have an arbitrage opportunity. But what we can build with that is basically an AMM with a single liquidity curve. So now flows can come from different chains, and a swap on one chain moves the price on another chain.
Yep.
That's the best part of it. And yeah, that's something I'm super excited. Personally, we feel it would be a game changer. So we have been talking with a lot of teams who are super excited to adopt this kind of liquidity model. Once the whole infra is out, the pilot is out with the poly market, the core focus from our side would be just heads down, getting this ready as soon as possible in the most robust way, and shipping this to market.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for coming out. It's been a great conversation. Hope you enjoy the rest of the week.
Yeah,
It's got a long week ahead.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, thank you.